Game. Moving on to the next, we've got Ireland versus France, 32-19. World's number 1 and number 2, a potential quarterfinal match coming up later this year in the World Cup final, happening in France. But what a game Ireland had over the weekend.
Yeah, I mean, they showed their class, didn't they? They showed why they're the favourites, and they showed why they're number 1 in the world. And yeah, I think it was a complete performance, really. I mean, France were obviously good, and they had glimpses in the game when they were probably on top for a little bit, but overall, Ireland were they just dominated it.
Yeah, and it was the best game I think I can remember in the Six Nations. It was a really good game to watch. And yeah, Ireland were excellent in fairness to them. You know, France were their usual selves and looked very strong, as Tom said, at some points during the game. But Ireland were excellent, and yeah, that will give them a real sort of boost going through to the World Cup.
Their 14 games winning run come to an end. France's Grand Slam champions, so the hope is gone. Ireland pretty much in that seat, along with Scotland. And also it looked like pretty much where you watch rugby in a black and white screen, running rugby, completely running rugby. You felt that, like you said, probably one of the best game in history.
Yeah, definitely, and some ferocious defence as well. I mean, we spoke about in week 1 about Ireland's breakdown skills. You know, the way they get over the ball, they literally challenge for everything. There's always fighting. The ball's never lost, and that's probably come from Farrell being in charge now. Like his rugby league background, the ferocious defences, and they're the complete team at the moment. And they're going into a World Cup very, very strong, very full of confidence, and their strength in depth, which we've talked about, is just incredible. Yeah,
even when Sexton went off, you know, it just didn't make a difference to the way they were playing as a team, and that's a sign that a team is doing well. I think they're on for the Grand Slam. I can't see anybody beating them at the minute. So you know, that will give them a massive boost going through the World Cup.
Absolutely.
Now, Hugo Keegan's try was so pleasing to watch, and Tyher Bolton's pass completely outfoxed Sean Edwards' defence. What did you guys think of it when you saw it?
It was pretty special. I mean, it wasn't off a set piece. It was general. It was open play, and that just shows, you know, how good these forwards and backs are working with each other. To call a play like that off the cuff, well, not off the cuff, it's obviously just a training ground move, but to do it on I think a second or third phase into your play was brilliant, and the timing was on point, wasn't it?
Yeah, and I think it was Conor Murray's looping round. Yeah. That movement just created that little bit of space on the inside. Yeah. And fair play to Hugo Keenan, he'd hang back behind the ruck, so he wasn't obvious. And then he just came through that gap. It was, it was a pleasure to watch.
To outdo the French defence, because obviously they're a very good defence, but just having that prop there, obviously straight away you think they're just going to hit their forward product.
Yeah.
And then having the 9 looping round, there was 3 options in that one play. They could have taken the ball up, they could have hit the scrum half coming round, but then that line, I was just impressed with the timing of it all.
It was really good.
It was perfect, and I think that sums up where Ireland are at the moment. They're just playing some very, very good rugby.
Yeah, totally agree. And as you say, we see that sometimes off first phase, don't we, where those moves are called, but actually off second or third phase, it's normally far more predictable. And to see something like that called off second or third phase was you know, very intelligent and shows that the Irish team are a very well developed team.
And it also shows that the front row forwards, they're not only there to scrum, engage or line out lifting, but there's more than that. They have to be versatile nowadays. We also witnessed that from Genji showing to Chesham on that small breakdown. Chesham scored that try. So all those tactics coming into play, so more versatility.
Yeah, and that's what international rugby is about. It's skills across the whole 15 now, the whole 23. You know, you can't just be a one-trick pony. Like wingers, you're not just a winger anymore. No. You've got to be able to, catch the high balls. You've got George North as a prime example. He's now playing in the centres, and you can play in the wing. You can play at fullback. You have to be able to evolve and adapt to what the game is, what's needed. And Ireland are literally epitomising that at the moment. They're showing they've got the skills and the class throughout the whole squad in all positions.
Yeah, they've got they've got their back five could probably play in any positions in that back five. So they can play tight, or they can play with ball in hands, and they're really athletic and really dynamic. And as Tom said, that's exactly what you need.
17th minute into the game, Damien Penaud, he tried to set France at lead. What do you guys think of the teamwork there?
It was great because France actually put themselves under pressure. Entermac threw a loose pass, and then the fullback just managed to tap it out. But Penaud seems to be on fire. He seems really hard to be able to put down. And he obviously then made a break, passed it through to the second row, but then he just followed and was able to get that pass back. And again, he didn't look as if he was out in space, but he just got through a couple of different tacklers and scored a really good try.
He's strong, isn't he? He's really a strong runner. And you think you've got him. Like a lot of these players at this sort of level, you think you've got them, but they just keep going. I mean, Noel is a good example. I know
so deceptive as well.
He's not in the England squad at the moment, but he's one of them guys that, and I've played against him, and you think you've tackled him, and it's like, geez, he just won't go down. Just will not go down. And that's what you want. And this backing game work, you make a pass and your backing game finds the support. And these poachers, again, Chris Ashton of old, he's someone who just keeps on working. He'll do a pass. He won't just sit there and admire it. He gets back in there and gets on the end of it, and that's what you want from your wingers.
Absolutely.
Now, James Rowe was showing all-around capability with these educated left boot touches, playing defence. What about that controversial try? What do you guys think of that?
It wasn't a try.
Yeah.
The reverse angle that didn't get shown.
It was interesting that it didn't get shown, wasn't it?
Because it was the most clear-cut in touch. I mean, it was a great finish. Yeah. But he touched the grass and it wasn't a try. And then when you look back, did that have a massive impact going forward? Because you don't get that try. Obviously, France is still within touching distance. So, yeah, it's a little bit controversial. It was a fantastic finish, but unfortunately, it was a clear-cut foot in touch.
And I think probably on the sort of defence, I think the yellow card that France had should have been a red card.
Yeah.
So there's probably swings and roundabouts, but it was a great attempt at a finish from low, but that reverse angle showed that his foot touched the grass.
Yeah, definitely. But I mean, just mentioning low, it's not just his attacking play anymore. His kicking game, which you mentioned just a minute ago, it is brilliant.
Yeah.
He did an amazing banana kick where he kicked it and it found the touch. I think it actually was ended up being a 50-20. So there's them parts of the game when you can see all these island players, from a couple of years ago, they probably weren't the complete player. But the development they've had as a squad and as individuals, that's why they are such a complete team at the moment, because they have stepped up in every aspect of their play.
No, absolutely. And he's another strong individual, isn't he? He's hard to put down.
Yeah.
And so, you can't give him any space at all.
Player number 8, Doris, played a blinder with the man-of-the-match performance. What do you guys think about his opposite, Gregor Aldrit's performance?
Well, he was quiet on Saturday overall, and he's one of the best number 8s in the world, I would say, Aldrit. But Doris was fantastic on the weekend. He was really strong with ball in hand, but he was able to break through and keep that tempo that Ireland play, and it was really impressive to see that. To keep someone like Aldrit quiet is not an easy task at all.
Yeah, and you probably could have picked about 3 or 4 boys from the Ireland team for man the match. Their 4-pack worked very, very well with each other. Their backs were on fire, and they just kept playing the whole way through. They didn't let up. Even when France sort of got their tails up a little bit, they just kept coming back and back. And it just, it was a really, really good, proper international match.
And I think it shows that winning becomes a habit as well, and it's knowing that you're going to be under the cosh for a while, but actually, if we keep doing what we do well, we'll win this, and Ireland showed that really strongly.
And they can adapt, can't they, within the game? They can change their game plan. It's not always just, all right, we're going to just keep crashing it up for the forwards. They can move, they can interlink, backs and forwards are working well with each other. So you know, you just can't. You can't predict them.
No.
You know, because they can play any style of rugby at the moment. A bit like the All Blacks used to be.
Yeah.
Well, not used. They can still do that. They're just not doing it as well.
As well, yeah.
But that's how you go and win these championships. How you go on and win World Cups. If you can adapt your play to suit the conditions, to suit the opposition, and their analysis must be on point in the week.
Yeah.
They must study the opposition and know how to unlock it, and that's why we got plays that we did when Keenan went through and scored the try, because they've done their work on France. They know they take time to break down the defences, but chucking them little trick plays is what's going to unlock the defence.
Yeah.
It's all about rugby. Play the game for 80 minutes. So that's
Yeah,
what it comes. Last quarter, obviously, it's going to be tough. So talking about Gary Ringrose try, he scored a try, but he was absolutely smashing in terms of defence against Wales. But he's again all-round class. Where do you take him in consideration with the great Brian O'Driscoll?
Oh, comparing to Brian O'Driscoll, I mean, Ringrose is a very, very good player. His form has been up and down. He hasn't been a consistent selection for the Ireland team. But the try he scored was pretty much the nail in the coffin, I think, because I think at that point it was quite a close game. It could have gone either way. But that try and the finish, you know, credit to the finish as well. It wasn't just a run-in. He had to break a couple of tackles and get over that line, and you know, the timing of it was perfect. But yeah, he is a great player, and he's only going to get better, especially under Farrell and being part of this Ireland squad. Yeah,
I don't think he's a Brian O'Driscoll yet.
No.
But watch this space.
Well, thank you guys for your insights on what turned out to be a very impressive game.